Okay, here we are with Scott Patterson, correct me if I'm wrong, VK fourth place,
Yep.
28K second place. I'm getting tired even just listing them off. 50K third place, and Trifecta champion from the Rut 2024. Welcome.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
How are your legs feeling?
Rough. I'm hobbling around with my trekking poles right now.
And, so you started your effort at, was it 11 p.m., 11 a.m. on Friday? Was that the race start?
Yep.
12? So in the last 50 hours, you have ran for 9 hours and 19 minutes, 56 seconds. And I think I was estimating earlier it's something like, 22,000 feet of climbing?
Yeah, I think it's something like that. I'm feeling it right now.
What on earth inspired you to do the trifecta?
I mean, when I was signing up, Mike Foote gave me an entry not too long
Yeah.
ago, and I wasn't quite sure which race I wanted to do. I was like, well, why
So
not all
do
three?
All three.
Yeah, so
Um,
it was kind of, I feel like I needed a challenge. I've raced the VK in 50 or the VK in 28
Yeah.
combos before.
yeah.
It's like, sure, I'll give it a go.
So I guess let's talk through the race today, but then I want to actually talk back on your experiences doing the race before, because you've
Yep.
been a regular since did you race in 2016?
Yeah,
I think I raced against you, and I was many minutes behind you in
Okay.
2016. You might have been third. I think it was.
I think I was third.
€3 or €2, and then there was Alaskan, and I was the first from south of the border, and sixth or something like that. So today's race, what was your game plan going into it, given what you had in your legs of the previous days? How did you think you were going to fare?
I mean, I kind of went out trying to race it like it was a fresh race.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to do well today as well. I knew I'd be feeling my legs, and those guys started so fast.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, 1 and 2 are gone,
Yeah.
but I can fight for whatever I have. I kind of just had one pace and
Yeah.
cranked throughout the day.
At times both times through Moose Tracks, I think you were, Florian had caught up with you. Were
Yeah.
you working with him at all?
I mean, we were running together. I don't know if we really were working
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
It was kind of, we were running together.
Yeah, because you actually disappeared from we missed you on drone footage a couple of times. You
Yeah.
kind of disappeared off the radar
Uh-huh.
from the bottom of the climb up to headwaters through to the next time we saw you was after your descent off Lone Peak. So
Okay.
we had no idea where you're going. Maybe it was the camouflage shirt you were wearing, but it kept missing you.
Yeah,
So we're like, oh God, it's Scott's legs finally caught up with him.
yeah.
Clearly.
I mean,
they
I was
didn't.
running with Florian, and I mean, Florian was strong on the uphills, but
Yeah.
definitely could use some work on his technical downhill skills.
Yeah.
And so coming off headwaters, I pulled away from him.
Yeah. At any stage throughout the race where your legs finally catch up with you and you were like, oh, I'm worried about the people coming behind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, top of Lone Peak, I was concerned, but I knew Florian would have that descent, and I could
Yeah.
put some time back on.
Yeah.
And then off Andesite as well. He was
Yeah.
only 2 minutes or something
Yeah,
behind.
yeah.
And yeah, I was
Yeah.
definitely concerned. My legs were feeling it.
Yeah.
Lots of sore muscles.
So we were looking back at the historical times. In a moment, we'll talk about your own previous experiences with the race. But as you were running into the finish line, because the previous top 10 times, I think it was the 10th fastest time prior to today was Morgan Elliott in 2:24. And obviously, Mikey finished. He dropped him out. Then it was Sage Candidate was the 10th in 2:20.25. And then Ryan knocked him out of it. So Matt Shryock's time of 9:14.40, and you came around the corner in like 19. We were willing you into that top 10. You ended up getting the 11th fastest ever time
Yeah.
by about 20 seconds.
Oh,
But
and Matt's a
there's-
friend. I would have liked to bump him off the
Yeah.
list.
But there has to be a couple of asterisks behind them about 11 fastest time had 19,000 feet or whatever, 22,000 feet in his legs. So how many times have you been at the Rut?
This is my 5th time.
This is your 5th time. When was your first time?
I think 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
When we didn't get over the top, when that
Yeah,
that
that was
race
my
reroute
first year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was here in 16, 17, 18, 19, and then haven't been back for a while.
Okay. And were you always doubling up VK plus other race?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did the VK in 50 3 years, and then VK in 28 1 year.
Okay.
I had some good stories back then.
Yeah.
I ended up in the medical tent 1 year.
Oh, come on, tell us about it.
I mean, coming down from Alaska between being a sea level person and it was
Respect.
hot, it was smoky. I pushed myself a little too hard. One of the water bars coming into the finish, I actually tripped over and crawled across the finish line. There's a
my
photo of
God.
me crawling across the finish line.
Oh my God.
And then ended up, in the med tent with an IV.
Oh,
But I wasn't the only Alaskan in the medical tent. One of my friends was also
who was in there as well?
Chad.
Chad Trammell,
Yeah.
who was out there today, and I think went in the top. He finished third place overall in the trifecta. So let's talk about the trifecta. So 9 hours and 20 minutes. We actually have 2 Alaskans in the top 3 for the trifecta. Chad Trammell, who also ended up in the first aid tent on an IV back then. Why do the Alaskans keep coming back to the rut?
I mean, I think part of it is there's not that many like really technical races in the U.S.
Yeah.
And this is one of the few.
Yeah.
And there's a pretty good connection between Bozeman and Alaska.
Yeah.
Got a lot of friends who went to MSU.
Yeah.
My parents actually live in Bozeman.
Okay.
So it's a good excuse for me to come down and visit.
Yeah.
So it's a fun race.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike put on an awesome
Yeah.
event. I mean, like yesterday, helping out with the run.
Yeah.
It's pretty
So
cool
fun.
to see the future.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it's a cool event. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's maybe a little high and a little hot for us, but it's technical at least.
Yeah.
So.
Fortunately, it wasn't too hot today.
I was so happy about the snow the last few days.
Yeah. You mentioned the youth, the run yesterday. I don't know if I got that order correctly. The run. One thing I have to say, the Mount Marathon is one of the races that really led from the forefront with youth participation in our sport, with the junior race, which has been going on for at least a decade or longer, or even, I don't know how long the junior race has been going.
I mean, the course record, I think, is from...
Did you ever do the junior race?
I never did the junior race.
Okay.
I did the senior race twice.
Yeah.
I won it in 2017 and haven't raced since.
Yeah. As someone who I've had the good fortune of racing and getting schooled at Mount Marathon last year, there's so many parallels with that, with the community that surrounds Mount Marathon and the community that surrounds the rut.
Yeah.
And we were been saying it on the live stream of the last 2 days. There's so many parallels between the two groups. It's really cool to see.
We've got a cool community in Alaska for mountain running.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much access. Whether you want to race or just go run in the mountains.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
We were reiterating how much of a stamp of approval it is for the rut that the Alaskans come back year after year after year. I mean, they are the burliest people out of North American trail runner, out of at least US trail runners. So it's a great stamp of approval for the rut. I always want to ask, what was your favorite moment on the course over your last 3 days? What was your favorite? What was your favorite moment? Because you've had all the weather over the last 3 days as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly one of them was probably the descent down from Andesite in the 28K.
Yeah.
Where Johnny was
right on your tail.
Right on my tail. And I'm not usually that much of a descender.
Yeah.
And just kind of went for it then and held him off. I mean, we were basically the same split up top, so it was kind of a little stamp like, okay.
Potentially the best descender in the United States is Johnny Lunalimas, so holding him off was a very impressive feat. You should be very proud of that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's so many awesome moments over the 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I love running along like headwaters. It's so cool. Yeah. Where you actually get to kind of cruise along the ridge.
Yeah.
And I mean, should have looked at the top of Lone Peak. Apparently, you could see the Teton yesterday.
Okay.
But
I
did not look.
I think both of us were in similar states of hypoxia at the top, being both sea level people.
A little cold, hypoxic.
I think these people like Ryan and Mikey, who all live at actually all of the podium finishers in the room all live at elevation. They don't appreciate the stuff we go through coming up to this. Like the first half mile of each one of these races is just death.
And then that Lone Peak, the 10 to 11, it's just... It hits hard.
Yeah. Do you ever see yourself pushing a bit further and doing something like Pikes Peak? Have you done Pikes Peak?
I haven't done Pikes Peak. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It is really hypoxic.
Yeah.
It was a very miserable experience.
I do really kind of hone in on the races that have some technicality. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to figure out what I want to race in the next few years. So.
I'm going to selfishly recommend you go back to Ireland or Scotland and race back there, because we have some very technical racing.
Yeah.
Minimal course marking. You just have to get top of the mountain back down. You have to choose your route. I'd recommend it.
Sounds great.
Well, thank you so much for interviewing with us today, and congratulations on your frankly insulting speed across the 3 races. For all of us who are just doing 1 races and you school us, it's a very humbling experience for the rest of us.
Thank you.
Proud
it was a pleasure to race with you yesterday.
Thanks very much, and we'll see you at the next one.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool.